On May 7, 2026, college students across the country opened their web browsers for final exams and were immediately locked out. Their login pages had been hijacked by a ransomware group known as Shiny Hunters. The disruption was immediate and massive. It simultaneously crippled systems across the Ivy League, massive state university networks, and K-12 school districts worldwide. To visualize the fallout, look at this diagram mapping the network's compromised data. The counter escalates rapidly because Shiny Hunters had captured 3.65 terabytes of data, pulling highly sensitive personal information and private messages from 280 million affected users. The hackers issued a clear extortion threat. They demanded a ransom from the platform's parent company, threatening to leak the private, unencrypted communications of millions of students and faculty members if they didn't pay. This widespread disruption exposes the reality that individual university portals are connected nodes on a single system, rather than isolated digital campuses. We naturally assume our tech infrastructure mirrors physical campuses. A user logging into a Harvard-branded portal assumes they are on a closed Harvard network, completely walled off from a local high school's portal. But Instructure, the company that builds the popular Canvas platform, doesn't build individual walled gardens for every client. All of these supposedly separate systems run on the exact same underlying cloud infrastructure. Canvas also offers a feature called a free-for-teacher account. This allows anyone with a standard email address to create and manage a Canvas course without paying a dime and without any formal university affiliation. Allowing unverified public free accounts to live side by side with high-security enterprise clients created a massive blind spot. That proximity provided the exact foothold needed to execute the largest educational tech hack in history. Look at this multi-tenant SaaS architecture. Software companies place paying universities and free users on the exact same physical databases. Authorization boundaries verify you only see data scoped to your account. But Shiny Hunters registered a free-for-teacher account and found a flaw in that boundary code. Because the boundary failed to verify who they were, a single free user account suddenly had the authority to read private data objects belonging to any institutional tenant on the entire platform. Shiny Hunters achieved this scale without malware or firewall breaches. They utilized a legitimate account type to walk through a previously unknown gap in the system's internal permissions. Pulling out terabytes of data manually would take months and trip immediate security alarms. Instead, hackers abused developer API keys, built-in tools for outside software, to generate privileged access tokens. Armed with these elevated tokens, they queried the platform's bulk data export tool. This feature is explicitly designed for administrators running large-scale analytics on their school's performance. By utilizing the system's own export pipelines, the hackers perfectly disguise their massive 3.65 terabyte data theft as legitimate, automated administrative traffic. The operation blended in, remaining completely undetected by security monitors for several days. Exploiting built-in tools is incredibly dangerous because it turns the system's own efficiency against it. The attackers didn't build a data pipeline, they just hijacked the one Canvas already trusted. Instructure eventually noticed the unusual API activity. On April 29th, they quietly revoked the compromised keys, patched the read access flaw, and refused to communicate with the hackers or pay the ransom. Denied their payout, Shiny Hunters retaliated on May 7th. They pivoted away from silent data theft and escalated to public psychological warfare during finals week. Look at this comparison. Using the exact same boundary flaw, but this time exploiting write access rather than read access, the attackers altered the login page templates of 330 schools to broadcast their extortion demand directly to the students. This defacement served as a public pressure tactic, exposing that the original vulnerability involved deep architectural permissions that the company had not yet fully resolved. To finally plug the architectural hole, Instructure took an extreme containment measure. They entirely shut down the free-for-teacher tier, locking out thousands of independent educators to protect the enterprise network. But the data was already gone. By capturing private messages, the attackers gained the context needed to launch highly personalized phishing scams, allowing them to perfectly impersonate university staff and manipulate students moving forward. The scale of this exposure highlights a deep structural vulnerability in global education. Currently, roughly 41% of American higher education relies on this single vendor to manage their digital lives. That intense centralization has triggered a cascading chain of logistical fallout, with a massive wave of class action lawsuits sweeping the education sector as students and institutions sue over corporate negligence. When nearly half of an entire industry relies on a single shared platform, isolated incidents no longer exist. In a highly centralized digital infrastructure, the entire global ecosystem is exactly as secure